Hi, I'm Mali Glazer. I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm here today to talk about this quilt and what brought me to quilting. I've been quilting since about 1979. I took my two children living in San Francisco at the time, one in a stroller, one being dragged behind by her hand, down the sidewalk of a city street, and somebody was having a garage sale. And this person must have been a home dec sales rep because he had books of samples. And I was taken by the rainbow of colors. And one book that I bought and brought home was, now I know, upholstery velvet, which I then proceeded to sew into graduated rows. And now I had something that was large, heavy. What to do next? I didn't know a thing about quilt making. I just knew I liked the texture and the colors. I went to a local fabric store at the time in San Francisco. It was called Home Yardage, and bought bridal satin because, of course, velvet and satin still knew not what I was doing. And I made, I believe it would have been about a 12-inch border around the sides of this heavy already piece, and I was very pleased with myself. It was impossible to handle. My sewing machine told me very quickly it didn't want to sew through all those layers. So in order to create a blanket out of it, I began to hand quilt it. Well, I don't think I knew I was quilting it, but I was attaching top layer to the batting and the, anyway, I ended up with a very attractive heavy piece, which I entered into a contest in California, in San Francisco, the Botanical Society, and I won third prize. I think there were only 3 entries. However, it made me just itch to do more. And of course, now I had growing children, so my sewing was for them, clothing, little blankets, what have you. When other friends started to have babies, then I began to make baby quilts. And that just sent me on the journey I'm now trying to wind down, because I have spent, since those years, buying fabric. So I have fabric to compete with many fabric stores. So now all the quilting I do is for charity. Our guild, Smoky Mountain Quilters, services many agencies of need, and I'm thrilled that my quilts are out there somewhere being held and fondled. I'm going to try to make each one special. This quilt, I'll just briefly tell you, is a result of a challenge. Every year our guild puts forward a challenge. This one was, we got to select face down Pantone, I think that's how it's pronounced, Pantone cards. And I think it was, well, I could look, but I think it was 2016 or 2014, and you could take 2 cards. You looked at them, you had to pick one, and you chose it and put the other one face down back in the thing. So no one else knew what colors your quilt was going to be. It was so fun because when I pulled the 2 colors, the one I chose was, it just screamed my colors. This is exactly where my happy place is, very bright. And the technique I used in the center, I found online. One of the things, I've been to International Quilt Festival years, and I love taking classes and I love being with other quilters. What the internet has done is made us more insulated. I mean, we end up staying home and just Googling or finding things online. This I found online from a quilter not in this country. And so that was very exciting to me. A great deal of it is made and then appliqued as the centerpiece. And I love putting bling on my quilt. So this was a lot of fun to do, and I always try to well, I always try to finish. I always compete in the challenges because they really stretch a quilter's imagination. And since all the other sewing I'm doing is for charity quilts, much of that is production work, so I'm just doing it to get it done. But if you get a chance, viewers, to go and see quilts whenever they're displayed, you will see personalities of the quilters. The joy that goes into it, I know for me, this is really where I go to be zen. I even if I'm ripping a quilt apart, I am so quiet. I am so happy. I had a store and it was called So Much Fun, because it's just the only time I ever just feel like no matter what I do, I'm doing something, it's productive. I just love sewing, and quilting for me is a wonderful, wonderful outlet. So I appreciate it.